Test, 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 check, check, check. I feel like I'm in a Saturday Night Live skit. Check. Check, check. So anyway, yeah, 2 out of 3 horses have some degree, and there is, mild cases to very severe cases of stomach ulcers, and so 2 out of 3 horses will have some degree of that during any athletic competition. And so it's a very, very common problem we've found, over the years. There's been a lot of good research done in this to demonstrate this issue and this problem. Basically, all day long a horse is producing stomach acid, and they'll make up to 16 gallons of acid a day. And one of my favorite treatments for stomach ulcers, sorry Berenger, is green grass. See right here? Green grass is a natural buffer for acid. You can see right here the pH, which is the measure of acid in your body or in your stomach. The lower the pH is, the more acidic. Normal is 7, that's neutral. Above 7's basic, below 7's acidic. And so within minutes of stopping eating, you lose saliva, is also an important buffer. It has bicarbonate in it, which raises the pH and neutralizes acid. But within minutes of pulling them off food, their pH will start to drop. And that's the ultimate root of the problem with stomach ulcers. And then you start to get these ulcers when the acid overwhelms the mucosa or the lining of the stomach and allows for direct contact of acid. You basically start eating yourself. Here's a series of pictures with intermittent feed depredation. So every other 24 hours they were fed, and we can look right here and see the differences. The pH dropped to less than 2, which is very super acidic. And here's this is again the squamous portion, the glandular portion. This is basically normal. Here are ulcers that are starting to develop. And then after 4 days of this intermittent day feed, no day feed, you've got these marked severe ulcers through here. Very, very pronounced, very, very profound and severe changes to the stomach. Anyway, so concentrates or the grains lower stomach pH. There's less salivary production. It increases the production of hydrochloric acid. That's the battery acid that's rolling around in a horse's stomach. Yeah, green grasses, green hay, alfalfa, very good for the acid balance of the stomach and very neutralizing for ulcers. And so any kind of physical stress, training, competition, anytime they're sick, anytime they're in pain, sore, or had surgery is going to be a risk factor that increases the incidence of stomach ulcers. Yeah, anytime these horses are transported, hauled, put in a stall from a pasture. One of the classic early on experiments was done up at Oklahoma State. I remember 25 years ago, and they were just taking weanlings that were in the pasture, putting them in stalls, waiting 2 days and scoping them, and the incidence of stomach ulcers was like 70%. Here's a study where they did a travel study where they took 20 stomach-free, ulcer-free pain horses, and they scoped them before and after. And they kept 10 of them at home. They hauled 10 of them, 4 hours, gave them a little exercise, 30 minutes a day, put them on some oats and grass alfalfa mix, hauled them back home. Scoped them at the end of 5 days. At home horses that were just placed in a stall, 2 of them developed ulcers. Those horses that were trailered, 7. So it's 3 times the incidence just by that little bit of trailering and change of environment. Again, you can put them on treadmills and produce it. This is just a study where they put half of the horses on omeprazole, which is the drug name of GastroGuard and UlcerGuard. Half were treated, half untreated. The untreated horses reduced their time to fatigue, significantly lowered their oxygen uptake, shortened their stride length. So you can see how it affects their athletic performance. To me, this is the number one, the change in the eating eating pattern, refusing to eat grain, right there. They become a picky eater. That's my number one. Right then, they need it. Right there, I give them a double dose of GastroGuard. Don't even think twice about it. Hunter jumpers, 63%, show horses, 60%, Western performance horses, 80%. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's just very, very, very common. Endurance horses, after long rides, 67% showed evidence of ulcers. Pleasure horses, down there in the 40 to 60% range. Non-traveling, just a horse, non-competition, around 11%. Now we're going to talk about the highlight of the talk, treatment. So let's get to the antacids, okay? The purpose is to just neutralize the the acid that's already in the stomach. It doesn't do anything to the amount of acid that's being produced. They are relatively short acting for about an hour. So if you top dress feed, you feed them twice a day, you're only neutralizing the acid for an hour or so. Then ranitidine, we use a lot of this. Cimetidine, that's Tagamet. You're used to Tagamet, seeing that at the grocery store. They do the cell that produces acid. They will do a partial block of the acid production. The main downside to these drugs and why I don't like them that much is because they are very short acting. They need to be used 3 or 4 times a day to be effective. And I'll give you a little disclaimer, I'm definitely not being paid to be up here. Just want you to know that. I'm just a friend of the company, I guess, because I believe in their product. I'm a big believer, just for a second, I'll digress for a second about Boehringer Ingelheim. I'm a big believer in that company because in contrast to most companies now, they're a privately owned company, correct? A family-owned company, and that family has a passion for horses. And so a lot of these research that we do on horses may not have the cost benefit that research is done in, say, dogs and cats where there's a lot higher numbers, or humans. The potential for them to make profit with the products that they may develop through their research is a lot lower with horses, but that hasn't reduced their commitment to doing research and funding research on horses. So to me, that's a noble endeavor, and that's something that I've always appreciated about this company. I'm in my 35th year of veterinary medicine. I know I got into vet school when I was 5 years old, so child prodigy. And so you give it orally, it gets absorbed in the small intestine, it goes into the bloodstream, it goes to those cells, and then it rapidly decreases the acid in the stomach. I want to talk about omeprazole or GastroGuard, UlcerGuard, because these are incredibly good products for horses, and they are very, very effective, and they're unfortunately not the most inexpensive products on the market, but the reason that they are more expensive is because their quality and their effectiveness are deserved of that. And anytime you go to take a shortcut, like you'll see with the generically compounded products, they're less effective, and we're going to show you some studies here that'll prove that. Here's a study where we're looking at horses that were put on GastroGuard for 30 days, and you look at the production or the severity of the stomach ulcers. And you see here, this is high, a score 0 to 3.5. Here's a group of horses with an average score of 2.5. They were on it for 30 days, and you got down to nearly healed, which is why we need to rescope those horses. Not completely healed on average. Again, this is average. But these horses were then switched to compounded omeprazole, and here their ulcers start to get worse. Here's the reverse study where these horses were put on compounded omeprazole with a 2.5 score for 30 days, and it only dropped from a 2.5 to a 2, and then switched to GastroGuard, and these ulcers dramatically improve over 30 days. So GastroGuard and UlcerGuard are basically the same drug. They're just packaged in a way to make them easier to administer. The GastroGuard's packaged in a way to where you administer 1 full tube a day as a treatment, where UlcerGuard is packaged in a way where you administer 1/4 of a tube a day as a prevention. So just to wrap it up, Mexican, Italian food's really good. Gastric ulcers are really common. They can happen really fast. There's no real correlation between the symptoms and the severity of them. They definitely have performance effects. And beware when you're buying generic omeprazole.
Many horses need support in 4 key areas: joint, hoof, coat, and digestion. Our Smart Combo formulas allow you to cover all of these bases in one comprehensive supplement. With every Smart Combo formula, you can get the comprehensive support your horse deserves and save. Visit smartpack.com/smartcombo to get started.